Tropical Storm Cristobal is flooding like crazy over Mexico. I'm Mike Naso from the IPR Tropical Update page with an update on our system here in the southern Bay of Campeche, inland, but still a tropical storm and still a threat. That is Tropical Storm Cristobal. Look at the moisture from the Pacific all the way up to Florida and Georgia, and right in the middle there is Cristobal. Now here's the latest as of 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern from the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Cristobal was at 18.3 north, 91.8 west. Winds down from 60 to 50, but because it's so broad and ill-defined, it won't weaken as quickly as if it were a hurricane. It's drifting southeast at 3, and that's just prolonging the agony. I've heard that people who live down there say it floods when they get a heavy rain downpour, and this is a tropical cyclone sitting over them, and it's going to be very, very bad news. You can see eventually we expect it to feel the tug and pull on up from the troughiness to the north towards Louisiana. But again, if you're in Texas all the way over to the panhandle of Florida, you guys need to be overlooking your hurricane plans. It's expected to strengthen, but there could be some wind shear in the future and maybe cooler waters near the shelf here off Louisiana. Nevertheless, it could become a hurricane. That is a possibility, so you need to be on the alert. Again, if it takes the right edge of this cone, it's overland much longer, doesn't exit until, Saturday? If it starts to lift out later tonight, it's over water much sooner and has a better opportunity to organize as it moves on off to the north. Nevertheless, this little loop-de-loop it's doing is causing agony in Mexico. You can see the visible satellite imagery of Tropical Storm Cristobal sitting right over this little lagoon here. This spit of water here near Ciudad de Carmen is actually known as Laguna de Terminos, and it is a tropical lagoon that houses a lot of fauna and different birds and mangroves and a lot of beautiful tropical nature. And so you can imagine how wet and moist and swampy and tropical it is down there, and that is where the center of our Cristobal is right now, just raining like mad. And again, a good circulation. You can see the spin there is definitely not losing its circulation, but it is not strengthening, thankfully, while it's over land. Once it moves back out over water, we will likely see intensification of it. There's a map of the area that the center is over, and again, they've gotten gusty winds, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts in Ciudad del Carmen, and again, that little lagoon there, beautiful tropical island and paradise there, and just the fauna and the beautiful tropical foliage getting rained on like mad and probably flooded from Cristobal right now. Computer models are getting in better agreement. They're not there yet, but after it mills around down here, they are all forecasting a move northward. Now, some of them, like the UK Met, want to bring it further out and then back towards the west as a ridge builds back in of high pressure there. Others want to bend it more towards the west sooner, towards Texas. Most of them are kind of zeroing in on the mid-Louisiana coast, areas like Morgan City, Marsh Island, that location, Lafayette, Abbeville, Homa. You guys want to be on the lookout just in case Cristobal makes his way towards you. These are the European ensembles. This is showing the system moving on up and maybe even becoming a hurricane and then making landfall somewhere from Sabine Pass over to New Orleans. So the Louisiana coast, that's where the European is showing. The UK Met, as I mentioned, brings it out here more towards the Big Bend area of Florida. Some have it hitting the Panhandle, western Florida, and then some have that turn as the ridging rebuilds back in towards areas of Louisiana and Mississippi. So again, we don't know yet, and we also think it might be sheared, so a lot of the bad weather might be on the right side as it comes in. So if it were to make landfall in Sabine Pass, that doesn't mean you won't have bad weather further to the east. A lot of variables and a lot of time to watch it. The key messages with Cristobal: damaging and deadly flooding. That is the main threat with this storm. It's already occurred in Mexico, Central America. Additional rainfall amounts all the way from Guatemala, El Salvador. Widespread life-threatening flash floods and mudslides are possible. Secondly, even though it's made landfall, they're still having those tropical storm force winds, and that's going to continue in western Campeche, Tabasco, and the Chiapas states. And number 3, Cristobal will move back out into the Gulf of Mexico Friday or Friday night towards the Gulf Coast, and there is the risk there of storm surge, heavy rain, and wind anywhere from Texas to the Panhandle. We don't know when, where, and how strong yet, but we do know Cristobal will take a move towards that location. Again, the rainfall is the main threat. This is the graphic I came up with that I showed you if you watched yesterday. You can see right now Cristobal's drifting at 3 miles an hour. That is somewhere 20, 25, maybe 30 inches of rainfall in some locations on top of already saturated ground. We could have a real devastating mudslide flooding event for areas of Mexico and Central America. So Cristobal is a dangerous tropical cyclone, even though it's not intense. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on Cristobal. I'll see you guys next time.